Many people dream of starting a fashion brand. The combination of doing something creative with the glamour and energy of catwalk shows and photo shoots can be intoxicating. What isn't obvious, at least for new designers or for people outside of the industry, is the challenge of starting from scratch. It's not only about growing your brand, it's about doing everything yourself, from designing to sewing, as well as the business side. And it's not only in the fashion industry. Starting a business can be very rewarding, but you need to be able to play the game long enough to reap those rewards. I'm Jane Singer, and welcome back to Inside Fashion. Thank you for being part of our community, which now includes talented professionals in 168 countries. Yes, we've come a long way from when we launched in 2020. Meet Sofia Georgia Rothman, a rising star on the New York design scene. Her collection has a growing following of young consumers, like her, who want quality garments with a sense of personal style. In this episode, she'll be sharing a raw and real look at what it's like launching a brand, and from taking that from being a personal project into a business. Before we get started, if you're looking for an inside view on why some brands are winning, even in a challenging market, and why others are continuing to turn in disappointing results, then you might want to take a look at Inside Fashion. You'll find monthly case studies on top international brands, as well as smaller challenger brands. Go behind the headlines and understand the strategies, marketing positioning, and execution that is driving some to outperform and others to fail. To learn more about Inside Fashion, go to insidefashionlive.net. I'll also leave a link in the show notes for this episode. Now let's sit down with Sofia and talk about building a fashion brand. Hi, Sofia. Thank you so much for joining me here on A Seat at the Table. I'm really excited about learning more about your brand and what you're doing and just what the journey is like so far, because there's so many new brands coming onto the market. It's such a great time to be launching a new brand. It seems to me that consumers are very interested in new brands right now, whereas before people would prefer to buy names they knew, so to speak.
Yes, I totally agree with that. And yeah, I feel lucky to be in this time because I know me personally, I love spending time finding new brands. And I do feel a lot of people are doing the same, and they almost feel like proud to wear something that not a lot of people know. So I feel the same. I think it's a great time to kind of be launching something new.
I know you're relatively early on in your journey launching your brand, but what do you see as the biggest challenge? I know there's a lot of challenges, but if you really look at it, what do you feel is the biggest, or maybe one or two of the biggest challenges that you face?
I guess for me personally, one thing is that right now it's just me behind the brand. So it is a lot of time that I have to put behind it just because I'm doing everything, starting with the design and the concept all the way to the sewing and then the business side of it as well. It's just me. So being a small brand, I think that's probably the toughest thing. And along with that too, my garments are, because they're so high quality and the materials are high quality as well, I'm just trying to find the right group of people that are willing to invest in a piece like that. And especially because I think a lot of my customer base is younger, like I am. So, trying to branch out and really get a well-rounded customer base and group of people that are willing to stand behind my brand is, I think, my main goal right now.
Yeah, and you're right. That is a really big challenge, is, essentially to find your tribe, right? To find the people who are those loyal fans that love what you do and are willing to invest in the pieces that you're creating. But it does take time, particularly in the beginning, to get that flywheel going. And then once, of course, people know about it, more and more people know about it. Now,
yes, exactly.
How are you going about doing this?
Well, I guess one of the most important things for me is to be making personal connections with people, because at least for me, most of the business that I've done with people and the sales that I've had is from people that I know face to face, and from people that I've met, say, randomly on the street that like complimented a bag, and then they're the ones that end up, actually buying things. So as much as I love Instagram and, the social media aspect of it, and that does bring traction as well, I think for a brand like me, where, like you said, people want to find smaller brands and things that are more special, I just try to meet people face to face. And, my best friend, she's a designer as well. So if we're just, walking around Manhattan and we see somebody that we think would like our stuff or would like my stuff or like her stuff, we'll literally walk up to them, give them a business card, tell them about our brand. I'm doing pop-ups as well, and just trying to, at least in the beginning when I'm just starting, get a solid group of people that actually feel like they know me and that I'm not just like another faceless brand off of Instagram. So I know it's going to be slow. I'm anticipating that, and I'm honestly totally fine with that. I'd much rather it be a slow start in the beginning and have something with longevity rather than, say, creating like a TikTok and then I blow up. But then, even though it's a lot of followers that you would get from that, they are not necessarily going to be fully behind you, because it's just going to be, they saw you off of a video and then a year later they forget about you. So I really want to build something with longevity. So I'm just trying to do everything I can to get there.
I think that's so wise. And even when I'm working with a lot of very more developed, you might say, or more established brands or companies that are selling maybe not a fashion brand, but are selling some of the materials or services that support fashion brands, very few have that long-term vision to build a solid foundation of customers or fans or whatever that are. Most people, they want the immediate gratification. It's very hard to have that mental toughness. So I really admire you for being able to look at it from that point of view and understand what it takes to be able to build something that, like you said, is not a TikTok flash in the pan, people buy one item and never come back again kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And, I also know, like, although I have been sewing and designing now for 5-6 years, I know that my vision and my design is going to be still changing and evolving. So I also don't want to, blow up and then I'm known for this one thing. And then 5 years from now, I'm still trying to chase that. I want people to feel like they're growing with me. And like I said, that they know me. So yeah.
I think that's really wise. Now, tell us a little bit about your brand. I mean, who's your target customer? What makes your brand different? Sort of define your brand a little bit about us. We're going to take a quick break now, and then we'll be right back.
We were hiring when we were making 50 to 100K monthly losses.
And why? Welcome to episode 1.
I can't think of a single founder who's been around for a decent amount of time in business who hasn't had their tunnel of year. This was that year. We're going to be okay, yeah, Sheree. Some are going to hear this and think, you TDP. But hear me out. You only have to do the math to understand that very soon we were $500,000 down.
Yeah, so my brand, Sofia Georgia Rothman, I kind of started, I've always designed with nature as an inspiration, and just, I try to take almost feelings that I get from places and then translate them into the clothes. So it's mostly women's wear right now. I do accessories as well, which a lot of men really like the wallet. I do like these leather wallets that are all hand stitched.
Nice.
So that's where my male customer base usually comes from. But clothing wise, it's women's wear at the moment. And I think my customer is someone that enjoys maybe having clothes that are like a little bit outside of the box and that are beautiful and that they're willing to either wear day to day or to special events. And I really don't have a set age group at all. And I kind of wasn't expecting that. I kind of assumed that it would be maybe just like younger people, I would say 20 to 35, 40 that would want my stuff. But after, the past few months, I've been getting more outreach. I have like my grandma's friends coming to me and saying that they need that jacket. And so it's really just a full wide range right now, age-wise, which I'm really appreciative of. And I love that. And I love just connecting with people of all ages. So, and then on top of that, I think I also really value clothing that looks, that you wouldn't be able to find it on a rack somewhere, but also that you're able to wear it day to day. Because I know I don't like, I'll get a garment that's so beautiful and I've never seen anything like it. But then, I get it and I put it on and I'm like, this is just uncomfortable. And like, I don't want to wear this to my day job. So I really try to focus on also having the pieces be comfortable and practical, as well as being high quality. So I think maybe that, I know a lot of brands are doing that, but I really, really try to focus on that while also not having to sacrifice the quality of things. So
I love that. And I think that it's really wonderful that you're going from the point of view of what you might call psychographics rather than demographics, right? Instead of targeting
yeah,
an age group or a particular, typical demographic, right? You're thinking about, well, who might love these products that I'm producing? Who might love this collection? And it doesn't really matter what age they are or, where they are in the world, as long as they resonate with what I'm doing, then that's who I want to serve. I really love that.
thank you. Yeah, I think I have something for everyone, which I love, and I'm trying to continue doing that. So
Yeah, I tell you, having been in this industry for a long time and watching brands come and go and watching the way the market seems to be going, I think you're really on the right track with that, because that's definitely the way people themselves are thinking, right? And I
yeah,
think that when brands overlook the fact that people don't see themselves as an age or as a geographic location or as an economic group, they just see themselves as an individual. And I think the fact that you're
yeah.
reaching out to people at that level, that's really smart.
Thank you. Yeah, I totally agree. I feel like, especially with the internet now, people are just so much more open to just dressing however they truly want and not, feeling like they have to be put in any sort of box because of,
Yes.
where they are or how old they are. And I remember in school, our teachers would, before starting any new project, we would always have to make a customer sheet of like who we think our customer is going to be. And they always made us put like, what age range are they? What's their job? Where do they live? Are they married or not? And I totally understand, because I see that, I'm sure it was like that for so many years, where you're just targeting a specific customer because, before the internet, it wasn't possible to reach somebody in Tokyo just being in like a small town. But now you really can just have a wide range of people, and it works out that way, and I'm grateful for it. I wouldn't want to be really living in another time.
Absolutely. Now, what are some of the materials that you use? I mean, do you have a particular, you might say when you talk about your brand, you're talking about the style and about the mood, but are there particular materials that you're pulling through?
Yes, I would say I love leather. I try to incorporate a lot of leather into my brand. I feel like it's very sculptural, which I like working with, and it's also lasts a long time. So I want to have pieces that people can give to their great grandchildren if they have them for that long. So definitely leather. And then on top of that, I also incorporate a lot of silks and lighter materials too. I've always found an interest in mixing like the hardness of leather with the softness of those like silk chiffon, georgettes, all of that. I think it's really beautiful. And I also really love working with like a knit jersey like this almost. And I just think it's super comfortable. And it's also all the pieces that I make with this material, I feel like I try to make them just like as flattering as possible for anyone. Because I know me personally, I love having, for example, like a baggy t-shirt, but if I get a baggy t-shirt, I'm getting like a men's large, and then it's not flattering for a woman. So I love making pieces that could be baggy and flowy, but aren't, you know, you can still almost see a form underneath, and like it's a soft material, so it's not like overpowering and just like a box. So, you know, I make shirts as well from this, dresses, and I love kind of playing around with something being flattering while also, you know, you don't feel like you can wear it to a dinner where you're going to be having a Thanksgiving feast, and, you know, you don't have to worry about if you're going to feel bloated. Like, it's still going to be flattering, and it can be a little baggy if you want it.
Yeah, that's such an important detail. And I think that you're absolutely right. That's where a lot of brands sort of miss the mark. And some of that is really, let's face it, cutting costs, right? Because it's a lot
Yeah.
cheaper to make a garment if it's boxy without a lot of
Yeah.
extra seams and without the complications of trying to cut it so that, like you say, it fits to the body. But it's important, as you're pointing out, because the shape it gives the wearer is so much more flattering. It can still, as you're saying, be oversized, but those tailoring details give it just enough shape that you're not wearing a bag, right? You're wearing something that does have that style and that drape that you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I have one shirt. It's, I think I actually have one right here. Oh no, it's outside, but it's literally, I think it's 25 inches across, so 50 inches in total. But the fabric that I chose for it is so light, yet it's heavy as well. It just drapes so beautifully. And the way that I've cut it, it flows, it like hits at the right point, right above like where a standard mid-size or mid-height pants waistband would be. So and the sleeves just are super low cut, so they just drape beautifully. And yeah, I love just, you know, being able to have something baggy without drowning in it.
Yes, yes, that's a really good way to phrase it.
Yeah.
You know, having the loose fit without the customer drowning in it.
Yeah, or at least looking like it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so important. Now, do you have a signature piece? I know you had talked about the wallets for men, but you know, within the women's wear category, do you have a signature piece, or are you not going in that direction?
You know, I don't consciously have a signature piece, but I will say, I think within the past few months to a year, I have one or two pieces that are really drawn to. And like when they introduce me to somebody and they show that person my brand, it's always they show them these two things. So it's this gray leather jacket that,
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
everyone just loves it. And it's a really thick leather, and it's pretty tailored to fit the body with a lot of seam lines up here. And then along with that, this next one is like kind of a newer piece, but it's a similar concept, but just a vest where it's like the high neckline as
Okay.
well with all the seams. But
Wow.
yeah, I feel like everybody really loves these pieces, and they've kind of inadvertently become like my signature pieces. So I'm gonna definitely keep expanding on those and hopefully have more signature pieces to come.
Yeah, definitely love that. That's really it has enough of a unique style, right? That it has a look, a personality to it, and yet, like you said, it's not so far out there that it's going to look dated. It's the kind of thing, as you said, that does
Yeah.
have, you know, it has longevity to it. It's a timeless, classic kind of a piece with just enough of a style vibe to it. that you look like you're wearing something that's fashionable and not just functional.
Yes, yeah, exactly. I never want any of my clothes to look dated. And like I said, I want somebody to be able to give them to their grandkids and they still feel like it's cool and an interesting piece and not just something that you look at and it's like, oh, I can tell that was made in the 2020s, you know? So,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. What are the price points like on your collection? Just roughly. I
um,
know there's a lot of pieces.
yeah, I mean, for like a piece like this, a jacket, it would be, you know, right now I don't have set price points because I do a lot of custom work. But once I make multiples of each garment, then I will be uploading them to the website. But I would say between like 1,000 and 1,300 for something like this.
Leather jacket.
But that's on the higher end of the stuff that I have. And then, for example, I have like this dress that I'm wearing that's just a long, flowy dress, but it's like brought in at the waist.
Like a jersey
And
dress.
yes, exactly. And that's for customers that, you know, want to have something of mine, but are not in the place to get something custom or something super, you know, tailored and leather work. So this was, I priced it at $120.
Oh, that's very fair. Yeah, very, very
Yeah.
reasonable.
So, you know, it is, although it's expensive for some people, I do want to be able to have like a wide range of prices and work with the people that support me. I just feel like that's the most fair way to do things. And I price them the lowest that I can. But at the end of the day, the materials are so expensive. It's just me. And like I said, I'm really not willing to sacrifice quality over anything. So,
Yeah, I love the fact that you have that commitment to quality because I think that quality is really important to consumers, and I think that brands are a little bit on delay when it comes to
yeah,
understanding that. I think that a lot of brands think that consumers are still in that maybe 10, 20 years ago mindset where people just wanted lots of stuff and price was more important than
yeah.
than quality. But I think you're right. People have shifted.
Yeah, definitely. And I know it really frustrates me when I buy something and then 2 years later I have to replace it. I love like the most special pieces in my closet are the ones that I've had for 5, 10 years, or the ones that are passed down from my mom that she has had for 30 years. And I know that I'll have for another 30 years. So
Yeah,
definitely
I
focusing on having that.
totally agree on that. Now, are you making all these things yourself, or do you work with a workshop, or how does that go?
Right now, I'm making them all myself. Other than I have these dresses that I had made by a friend, a family friend in Pennsylvania. She's a sewer and works in a tailor shop. But yeah, I had 5 of these made for the show. But other than that, I have been just sewing everything myself, which is mostly my choice at the moment because I do feel like until I can find somebody that can work here with me, I don't necessarily want to just send my stuff out and not have, you know, eyes on how it's being made to make sure that everything's, you know, up to standard. And because, you know, it's leather work and there's like a lot of detail that goes into it, I do enjoy just having control over it. But I do eventually want to have, you know, people that are here in the studio with me helping me out, or at least maybe a situation like with these dresses where I know the lady and, you know, I know she's amazing. So, yeah, we'll see though.
Well, for those people who are smart enough to grab one of your pieces now, they're really lucky because they're getting something that truly is, right? Not only an original Sofia George Rothman, but actually made by the designer. I mean, that's
Yeah.
going to be legendary.
Yeah, and you know, I also love kind of looking at especially the higher end leather stuff. I love, and honestly, everything I look at it as art almost, where,
Right.
you know, there can be a painter and he spends 30 hours on a piece and it's all made by him, and he wouldn't go send that to a factory to be made. And people pay for that, knowing that like that person had their own touch to it and did everything right there by themselves. And it's, you know, a one of one piece. And I think I look at most of my garments like that, other than, you know, like these and like the t-shirts that are for the lower price range. I love just looking at my pieces like a work of art almost, and that somebody will be willing to invest in and that they know they're going to have forever.
Yeah, fantastic. Really, really love that. Now, just one
Thank you.
last question, and that is, if you could have one thing right now that you feel would really make a big impact on your brand in terms of growing it or getting it to where you want it to be, what might that be? What would be the top of the wish list?
Let me think. I would say probably, it's a tough one.
So,
No, it's good. I just want to make sure I'm, you know, really making sure it's the number one before I say anything. Honestly, probably the ability to, one, just have all the time that I need to be able to make sure everything is perfect and to not have to worry about other jobs that I have to do and everything. That would be amazing, to just fully focus on this brand. And I hope at some point soon in the future that's going to be the reality. And I would guess on top of that too, then in the same realm of things, like having maybe like a studio assistant or something just here helping me out and running to the garment district for me, because that takes a whole day of time if I have to go and get fabrics and, you know, get snaps put in, whatever it is. It's like I'm definitely setting aside half a day for that. So yeah, it would be amazing to have somebody here helping me out with the little time takers. But, you know, well, I'm working up to it. And like I said, I know it's going to be a slow and steady journey, and I'm proud of that and excited for it.
well, it sounds fantastic, and I totally agree with you that all of us are sort of time challenged, even though we have a lot of tools that supposedly save time and make things faster and more efficient. I don't know anybody who doesn't feel like they don't have enough time for everything. So
Yeah.
I totally agree. And I think what you're doing is really fantastic. It really, you know, as I listen to you talk about your brand and not just your designs, but also your whole concept between, you know, on quality and on fit and so forth, you're really defining what certainly I see as the future of fashion, as the next wave of where things are going, of what people want. So it's really interesting to hear this, to hear you articulate that.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. That means a lot.
Yeah, well, Sophia, thank you so much for joining us here. Certainly, I'm so impressed by what you're doing, and I wish you
Thank you.
tremendous success. Keep in touch and let us know how the journey is going.
Thank you so much. That's so sweet. And I appreciate you for having me on. This has been a great conversation.
Thanks for being with us here today on A Seat at the Table. If you'd like to see some of the other episodes, head on over to our podcast website at seat.fm. That's SEAT.fm. There's also a link here in the show notes. And if you're thinking that you'd like to be a guest on the show, you'll find information on how to apply there as well. Thanks again for joining us. I'm Jane Singer, and I will see you in the next episode.